The meaning of the movie. Author Orpheus for Reading for Minutes, published 5.10. 2020 updated 5.10. 2020. The idea for the movie, Don't Come In, comes from the Belgian artist Herman Hubben, his graphic novel, Night of the Full Moon. French writer and director Julius Berg made his feature film debut with this work. This is a romp in the dark and torture horror, with mental perversions of characters who act as antagonist of the main characters. Hapless home invaders from a British provincial town in the late 1990s. They went on the attack, but were captured. Three guys from the suburbs decided to improve their financial situation at the expense of a couple of elderly aristocrats living in a prestigious neighborhood. The plan for easy enrichment was simple: to break into the luxurious mansion when the owners were not at home and break into the safe. To the scumbag Gaz, the idea seems like a cakewalk. Terry, an odd-looking lout who has received a tip-off about the house of a rich surgeon, is called in to provide the technical side of the case. Nathan, an idiot, goes on a robbery in the hope that it will help him to end his poverty. Nathan's girlfriend becomes involuntarily involved in the crime. Mary appears at the moment when the Garbnicks are watching the old people leaving their home. The intruders get inside and find a safe in the basement. But they can't open the code lock. They do not want to leave with nothing and decide to wait for the arrival of the owners, to intimidate them and extract the code from the safe. No one suspects that they will have to answer for the attempted break-in right on the spot. Back at home, the Huggins fall victim to the robbers. Helpless old men are beaten, tied to chairs, tortured. But all threats and measures of influence are ineffective. Elderly spouses, stubbornly silent, then pressed on pity, begin to evade and confuse the raiders. They get nervous, quarrel among themselves, there is a knife in the first blood. And the owners of the house, who at first aroused sympathy, turn out to be very unpleasant, mysterious, infernal characters. The doctor and his wife start a grueling psychological game, during which one of the careless thieves gets his head bashed in, another is locked in the pantry, and the third is simply treated to toxic tea. The old men's puny bodies are inhabited by devils possessed by bloodthirsty mayhem. A simple case, for dull-witted and frivolous robbers, turned out to be a monstrous game of cat and mouse with maniacs owners of the house. To the last tries to resist and save the situation smart and clever Mary, who is less guilty of what happened. But to defeat irrational unpredictability of nice old men, who turned out to be psychopaths and sadists, it is not possible. The situation in the sinister mansion from an inept robbery attempt transforms into a nightmarish plot about how the hunter becomes the prey. The movie, Don't Come In, tells us that when invading someone else's home, it is impossible to foresee what awaits you behind closed doors. That when starting a serious case, you should never underestimate the enemy. That's why the robbers who went for an easy prey turned out, as in the famous saying, they went to attack, but got captured. The mystery of the sweet old men. The creators of the movie managed to make the story nasty, bloody and dirty, as it is supposed to be in horror movies. But the main evil here is not something supernatural, but ordinary people. And that's why, even when nothing happens on the screen, the viewer is made to shiver simply by the inclement English weather. The meaning and zest of the tension of the plot, in the inconsistency of harmless exterior and creepy actions of Richard and Helen Huggins. What is wrong with the owners of the house? Why is there immeasurable calmness paired with incomprehensible madness? The viewer puzzles over this until the last frames of the movie. And the question that has been lingering from the very beginning, what is so valuable in this safe that they so stubbornly resist opening it? The director managed to initially and accentuated the idea that the sadistic old men have some secret, and leave it until the last. In the center of attention. Hints of this are scattered throughout the entire timeline of the picture. By vague images and vague sensations, by the end of the movie it becomes clear that these people lost their child many years ago. A mad doctor, unable to save his daughter from an incurable disease, keeps the children's room in perfect order as if she had just been there. The crazy old woman, who has not recovered from her daughter's death, calls all the girls by her name. This makes the touchingly cooing old men look even more sinister, and they reek of utter madness. The atmosphere of horror in the movie, Don't Come In, thickens when the viewer realizes who is presented as an antagonist to the main characters. People who suffer for their own child, who died years ago, who destroy the current children. So who is scarier here? Ruthless juvenile burglars, losers, or deranged homeowners with sadistic tendencies? The original title of The Owners in the Russian distribution was changed to Don't Come In, and in the version of Ukrainian localizers, Owners is presented as sociopaths. There is a very definite meaning in such a twisting of titles.